So do we start naming platters what is it? Girl board dinners? What is it?
Just girl dinner.
Girl dinner.
If you did a platter called girl dinner, I think it would.
The girl dinner platter.
All right, you know what? All the money and all the time that you're wasting, like on this podcast, this is how we're gonna get it back. I mean, what's up, Dom? We're back at Industry Only at the cheese store. So I gotta tell you, I mean, thank you, Oz, for the spread. I mean, there's grapes here. I mean, there's two kinds of grapes, red grapes, green grapes. You can tell us about the cheese. There's almonds. There's some olives. I think those are dried apricots, right?
No, actually dried white pears.
Oh, wow. All right, cool.
Pretty cool, right?
All right, I'll grab one of those, and then you got some bread. But I gotta give you a little bit of shit, though.
Oh, no.
You make good sandwiches here, right? I keep hearing, like, about these good sandwiches. Oh, wait, I've written about the sandwiches. That's how I know you.
But by the way, hold on. We have to say, we didn't know each other. We met.
We met through your sandwiches.
We met by you coming in and interviewing, and I felt like that lasted forever. Like, we were just chilling, hanging out, talking.
No, we were just, the first time wasn't even an interview. It was just like me
fun.
coming to eat sandwiches, you know, and if I didn't like them, the relationship's over, but it turns out but like, I'm like, yo, my man, why are there not sandwiches? It's only like, whatever, it's noon or so?
Yeah.
Why are you giving me girl dinner right now? Dom, do you even know what girl dinner is? Do you know how insulting this is that we're doing a podcast? It's like, you make all these great sandwiches? It's like, literally, my daughter eats girl dinner. She's 10 years old. She's like proud of the days where she has the mozzarella and the tomatoes and the cheese. But have you heard of that concept at all? Has it like increased sales for you? Or
Girl dinner?
Yeah.
Never. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Dom doesn't fucking know what girl dinner is. Can somebody explain what girl dinner is to Dom?
Yeah, so here's the official definition of girl dinner, Dom. It says, it's a popular TikTok trend of women eating snack boards for dinner instead of a traditional entree.
This is a snack board.
This is a snack board.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, Andy, this is what you need to be eating. We're gonna steer you away from the carbs right now, Andy, myself included.
You just put out 2 things of bread.
So, all right. So this
So
girl.
for real, you're not messing with us at all. You have never heard of this.
I never
month-long trend.
heard. Oh, it's a month long.
You don't understand. No, it's been going on for months. You don't understand that people are coming into your cheese store, buying cheese and assembling snack boards because this is now a TikTok trend.
So do we start naming platters what is it? Girl board dinners? What is it?
Just girl dinner.
Girl dinner.
If you did a platter called girl dinner, I think it would.
The girl dinner platter.
All right, you know what? All the money and all the time that you're wasting, like on this podcast, this is how we're gonna get it back. This is 1,000% how we're gonna get it back.
Oh my God! I actually never. I honestly, bro. I mean, well, listen. You're the cutting edge of everything culinary, and I'm just
Dude,
here
this
to
is
pick
TikTok.
up.
This is
I'm
not
here
me,
to pick
like,
up the
knowing-
morsels that you drop.
All right.
Can I show Dom? Can I show you a video of a good girl dinner?
Would love.
Okay.
There's been no employee that's told you about this.
No, and by the way, like our employees are very young here too.
Everybody needs to.
This
get
is a
fired
girl
right
dinner.
now.
Go ahead, go shoot it. First of all, there's a lot of things I have. Are those strawberries and cheese? Is that an egg? Oh my God, that's a girl dinner.
That's a girl dinner.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. No. Never seen that before.
This is a
No,
depression girl dinner.
Right.
There are videos out there where somebody has mozzarella, somebody has sun-dried tomatoes,
Right.
Somebody does have a little charcuterie, somebody has nice cheese. You're probably like feeding this frenzy a little bit.
I would like to think so. I'd like to also, now that I know about it, I feel like we need to start to gear out some boards for girl dinners. I mean, that makes sense. You're on TikTok? I mean, honestly, like I think about it, it's kind of crazy because I am not into the TikTok thing, and I sound like an old man right now. Like I just haven't gone there yet, but apparently I know you're on. I mean, I don't know if Industry Only has TikTok, but I know that people come in.
I'm not even active on TikTok. I just live in the world in 2024.
Oh, yeah, see, that's my mistake.
Yeah,
That's
like you're
my
literally
mistake.
just down here in the basement,
I'm in
right?
the basement.
Waiting for
They
the
don't let me
pipes to
upstairs.
go off.
I'm not allowed upstairs.
But what I'm saying is that this is something that you should capitalize on. But like, look, I get it. You don't really need it. This place is famous already, right? I mean, I was just watching Curb Your Enthusiasm, and it's a whole plot point. So can you tell me a little bit about like how that happened? What Vonderdonk cheese actually is?
So it's actually kind of funny. So it happened a little while. Well, actually, it happened a while ago. It probably happened like over a year ago, where a scouting, I guess like he's a location scout manager, came in and was talking about filming a possible show. Obviously, they didn't say the name at first, But he just wanted to kind of check out the old cheese store, not even the new one. That's how long ago it was. And as soon as he came in, he was like, "Oh my God, like yes, of course." Like, and he's known the cheese store. The cheese store is like this iconic brand that's been on Beverly Drive forever. So he was like, "Look," he's like, "I really would love to try and see if we can make this show possible here." And then as we went back and forth, he kind of gave me I'm not going to get this guy in trouble, but he gave me like the wink nod. It's like, "Hey man, it's for Curb Your Enthusiasm." I was like, "Holy hell, like that's huge."
Right, final season,
right? So they came back like 2 or 3 other times, and each time they came with an executive, I don't know, director and all these other people. And basically they're like, "Oh, we're filming here." Because there's nothing artificial about a cheese store. Like you're going to film about cheese, you're going to film in the cheese store. So they came, they did this whole thing, and then it was like so unbelievable. So the first time that they actually came, and they were going to shoot on one day, but then they had to cancel because another actor couldn't make it, and they wound up shooting like the very next day. I didn't realize how, first of all, I mean, I knew the magnitude of the show, but I didn't realize how we were going to be placed in the show. I knew they were going to talk about cheese, and he actually talked about, it's funny because when Larry David came in, and this was like such a surreal thing, being a big Larry David fan, of course, it was such a surreal thing because when he came in, he was talking about a cheese called Brabander. So Brabander is like this goat's milk Gouda from Holland that, I mean, like, yes, we can get it. Do we carry it every once in a while? It's not something that we do that often. And then he was like, "I'm going to make this show, we're going to make this cheese more about this Brabander cheese, but I'm calling it Vonderdonk." And I'm like, what the hell is, like, I've never heard of Vonderdonk.
So if you haven't seen the episode, like, we don't want to give away too much, but cheese becomes a huge plot point, right? The smell of the cheese, what happens when you lose possession of the cheese temporarily.
Right.
Everybody should just go watch the show. But yeah, but the fact that they just like named it, Vonderdonk, right? I mean, that is ridiculous. You must have thought that was ridiculous, right?
So, it's a name I think Larry came up with on his own, but like, of course, because it sounds funny anyway. So we're like,
but it sounds like it could be real.
It sounds like it could be real for sure. So it's like, okay, like what direction do we take? So we had this like internal meeting, and by the way, we didn't know when the show was going to air.
Right.
I was literally, I'm watching reruns of The Sopranos right now with my wife. It was a Saturday night, and we're like literally rerunning Sopranos, and all of a sudden my phone starts blowing up. I'm like, what the hell? And people are sending me screenshots of the cheese store bag, and it was so cool because the way those guys did it, like to support a small business like ours in this massive international show, they kept zooming in on the bag, and now like that cheese store bag was always kind of iconic, and now it just became wow, like it's in mainstream media.
You got to start charging for those little green cheese store bags now, or whatever, $1,000 minimum. So wait, why aren't you in the show? Why is Jay in the show? Jay needs more TV?
If you blinked, you missed me, so clearly you blinked. But Jay, of course, Jay is an actor also, and I really want Jay to get in, to like pursue his acting career as much as I support him fully. And I was like, you know what?
Jay's been on Mad Men, guys. He's a real actor.
I said, for me, like, I don't necessarily know if I care being in the whole shot.
So wait, were you actually on for 10 seconds or something?
I was. I was in the background. And Chef Hillary was with us also. So it was basically the three of us. And I have to say, so as we're navigating, what do we do about Vonderdonk? Like, what do we do? So they kept like honing in. The cheese that they're calling Vonderdonk was a cheese called Hallahacker. That's what we use in the show. So we were like, you know what? That's going to be our Vonderdonk cheese. It's called Hallahacker, and we did this whole like little PR thing around it, and we had amazing success. And I have to tell you, Andy, I was absolutely floored by our phone lines were flooded with people asking about, like, so much so that we literally on Instagram, like, we had to make an advertisement.
Your guy Ryan sends it out to the media or whatever. So
we send this out, and we're like, all right, like, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna actually have a Vonderdonk cheese, and it's Hallahacker, which is the cheese that they actually showed in the show, and we're gonna do some funny riffs on it. So you can add it to a salad, you can add it to a sandwich, and it was
did
like,
you do a melt?
No, we didn't do a melt. I'm not doing a melt until you can eat the melt here, because like you can't walk away with a melt.
Because that was part of the punchline, as you know.
Right. It was. So will we revisit that? Yes. Let me get the outdoor tables outside, and we'll revisit that. But anyway, so yeah.
So you were saying that like you're waiting for the outdoor table. So I guess this is a good time to sort of bring up the fact that like you're doing all this because you bought the cheese store and you moved the cheese store, right? And you added the sandwiches. What's the next part of this progression?
For me, like the cheese store, obviously being this iconic brand and stuff, and we've had this very, very, very loyal loyal clientele, old school loyal clientele that's followed Norbert around and now is following myself around, thank God. And, moving in locations. And I'll never forget, Norb, his accountant had called me before we even moved. And he's like, you may want to seriously consider relocating the store. And he's like, Norbert spent, or at least the owner before Norbert spent a considerable amount of time waiting for that storefront on Beverly Drive to become available.
Right.
And I was like, listen, thank you so much for telling me. It's like it's either like I'm gonna do it or it's not gonna happen. Like we're gonna move at a certain point. And it was funny because as soon as I thought about it, I was like, oh my God, like, am I making this like crazy mistake? Like, why would I wind up moving it? But anyway, we wind up moving it. And I have to say, so we have this amazing, loyal, old school clientele. And now we have this like new school clientele. The sandwiches and salads have been such an amazing opportunity for us to not only rebrand what the cheese store is, because the cheese store's always been this culinary institution. It's funny. Yes, we have a ton of cheeses and stuff like that. Like that is the foundation of our business. We are a cheese store.
Right.
But we have so many other great
right,
things.
But you weren't until recently known for whatever, grab and go food or whatever you want to call it. I mean, sure, you have a company that makes amazing pastas, you make amazing sauces, you get all this stuff. But the idea of, it's such a simple idea, but the idea that you could come to the cheese store and get a great sandwich, like that's a new idea.
It is. It's definitely a new idea, and it's definitely something, look, like, I'm very, very grateful for the incredible, response that we've gotten. And I have to say, like, obviously social media played a big part, but what I really do enjoy about, embarking on this new adventure and like the evolution of the cheese store, what I really enjoy about it most is to have like this younger generation. Like my daughter's 14 years old. My daughter Francesca's 14 years old. And
so by the time you finish the wine bar, given what LA is, like she'll be able to drink here. It's cool.
Well, yeah. Well, she'll be off to college, yeah. Like,
yeah.
But no, so like to have kids, like her friends, like, oh my God, I saw this thing on Instagram.
Wait.
And
your daughter has not told you what girl dinner is?
No, she hasn't. My daughter,
wow.
Yeah, no, it's funny. No, she hasn't yet. So yeah, I'll have to have a conversation with her about that. But no, so. It's kind of interesting because we do have this new clientele that the cheese store never really had, but also too, like, it made my day. Like we had this couple of, like, I would say like maybe about a month or so ago, a few weeks ago, these two old time customers that have been coming into the cheese store. Obviously they were upstairs and they were like, hey, like, I need to tell you something. And I'll never forget because this one guy, Avi, I'm not going to give his last name, but Avi was, I will never forget Avi because the first day I started working at the cheese store and I knew nothing about cheese, Avi kind of yelled at me. And so he called me over, a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, and he called me over. I was like, Avi, is everything okay? He's like, I have to tell you. He's like, you have a younger staff here. And by the way, Norbert's still behind the counter, so is Tony. He's like, you have a younger staff here, and I have to say, like, I am completely, unbelievably blown away by the level of talent of people working here. Yes, they're much younger, but we're very hospitable. We are very much in the hospitality industry. In addition to selling great cheeses and wines and prepared foods and caviar and truffles, like, we are very much in the hospitality business. And for someone like that, who I was like, Avi, are you going to yell at me? And he was like, no. And so for someone like that to come to me and compliment it, like, it's a really great testament to the people that we have working with us and the quality of product that we sell. And to have Avi literally turn around like, I absolutely love it. Like, so this is like the new evolution of the store for me. So
people actually like things. But all right, so you're talking about this younger crowd, this younger staff. Cheese store always, it's been like a daytime place. It's not even a daytime hang. It's just a daytime store, basically. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do nighttime? Tell us about that.
So nighttime, like, without revealing too much, because I don't know how long this is going to take, and I thought I would have outdoor seating, I don't know, beginning of November, and here we are.
It's very easy to do business in LA. You can just do whatever the hell you want.
If you think it's easy to do business in LA, it's even easier to do it in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Not. But anyway, like, it's one of those things where, there's so many different things that come up. But I've got some really cool plans for outside. Obviously, we're going to do this amazing patio. We're going to do a lot of chef collaborations. And I'm definitely going to hit you up with some industry-only stuff for sure. But I would say that outside is going to be cheese platters, sandwiches, salads as well, and we're actually sponsored by
Girl
Laurent
dinner
Perrier.
special.
Girl dinners.
That's
Oh
where,
my god.
That's where you're launching it.
Oh my god, we're gonna launch girl dinner for sure. But yeah, so like we're sponsored by Laurent Perrier as well, in addition to Big Noise. And I would say that you're gonna get an ice cold Big Noise on the patio. You're gonna have the opportunity to have, Laurent Perrier rosé by the glass. We'll do Blanc de Blanc. We'll do
Right,
the
and
Grand
Big
Cuvée.
Noise, it's going to pair well with lots of things. I mean, you can do more aggressive nighttime food, right? I get it, right? You come in for lunch, you want a sandwich, you want these familiar flavors, you don't want something too aggressive, you don't sort of like, whatever, want to mess up your breath for the whole day. But at night, it's like chilies, garlic, let's go, right?
It is too, and also too, just with the culinary staff that we have here with us at the shop, like we really could do anything. And I think it's like it's one of those things. It's almost harder to pull back. Because you want to just run forward with a bunch of stuff, but it's almost a little harder to pull back and to kind of do it
Right,
really
because I mean, your
focused.
staff, like, whatever. It's like, Ben's made food for like some of our guests. It's like clearly like his range is crazy, given that he worked for Wolfgang and that he worked for Nancy. But I guess that's and obviously we know about Hillary also working for Wolfgang, working for Josiah. I get that you have that. I mean, I didn't realize until recently that you have legendary Maureen Vincente just like hanging out here, helping out.
She is the absolute best. And when she was like, "Please put me to work," I was like, "Oh my god!" And it's so funny too because it's. I think what the beauty about coming into the store is that you see a lot of young faces and you also see a lot of familiar faces.
Right, and Norbert's still here a lot.
And Norbert is still here. He's still working a few days a week. And look, this guy busted his ass for over 50 years. When he's ready to retire, he's ready to retire. And until then, like, he was my mentor growing through this entire process.
And we know a lot of this he created. A lot of these clients that are your clients were his clients. But let's talk a little bit about that, right? Because, we're having some other people, we're having some of these people sort of come in. I'm sure they're going to be guests in the future. But just tell me some of the chefs who shop here and the type of things that they get. But more important, what do they do with these ingredients? Because it's not like everybody can buy the same ingredients from the cheese store, but the difference between whatever Walter Mansky, Nancy Silverton, or Michael Simarusti buying it versus somebody who's just trying to go assemble a snack board is very different. So that's kind of what I hear about. Like, how have you inspired LA restaurants?
It's pretty cool. So, like, yes, when you come in the cheese store, and that was one of the things that gravitated me towards the cheese store from the beginning. Like, as soon as I walked in, as a customer, I was like, oh my God, this place has so many different unique things that nobody really has. And I love when you walk into a shop and there's labels that you've never seen before, right? So that was the one thing. And then also, too, because of Domenico's Foods, my import and manufacturing company, because of that, we've been able to go out and actually curate product for chefs. And I think that is really our unique ability. And for us, when you come in this store, you're seeing cheese store product. You're also seeing a new sort of area for us. So we're not just importing Italian products anymore. We're going to Spain. We're going to France. We're going to Switzerland. So it's interesting because having this relationship with these chefs that I've had for over the past, 15, 20 years, it's pretty special because now it's like they're coming to me like, hey, what do you have? And what I learned is
tell me about a recent dish that got built around something that you had. I mean, that must be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of dishes. I will say like the one thing for me that really resonated was this white cow parmesan that Nancy Silverton had reached out to me about like a few years ago, and she was like, hey, she called me from Italy to tell me about this white cow parmesan that she is literally in the Caseificio having right now.
Right.
And by the way, like Nancy, we can do, several episode podcasts just on how great Nancy is and how much she supported a small business like ours. But I will say, like, when Nancy asks for something or when Nancy says something's good, you don't ask questions, you just go get it. And she introduced me.
And it was terrible, so.
No, but so it turned out like it was a white cow parmesan, which is like very rare. And we actually, just before we finally got it in, and just before I was a couple of years ago, I was traveling to Italy, like, 3 or 4 days later. She did this whole pop-up of, we cracked a whole wheel of white cow right at Chispacca.
Right.
And did this focused dinner on just that cheese. So, when you have a chef that you respect and all these other chefs around town that you respect and that you've known for all these years, now it become like Domenico's Foods and the cheese store and Dom and Jay and like the whole team, it's nice because they know that we carry great product and our product's not for everybody. And I'm okay. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, you get what you pay for and you get service and you get quality. And I think that, for us, having these unique ingredients, like, Walter Mansky said, he's like, he's like, I don't necessarily know if I care about cost that much because I can build a dish around it. And, he's been in the business forever, like a lot of other veteran chefs that we look up to, and they will build a dish around an ingredient. So when you hear things like that, like I can't say like I had that perspective before,
right?
But to hear it from someone like that, like to me, it's just it's an unbelievable opportunity for us to really showcase the quality that we have and the ingredients that we sort of source and curate.
So being here in Beverly Hills, you also at this point like have had a lot of different types of A-listers, various industries coming. Are you ever starstruck? Like, is there something that recently that's been like more exciting to you than other things, or?
Yeah, so I'm like the worst when it comes to this kind of stuff. So like, so like my wife will be hanging out.
There's literally like 800 TikTok stars that have come here in the last year. No idea who any of them are.
I'm like, if somebody tells me, oh, so and so is coming in from TikTok, I will Google them to see what they look like and make sure I go upstairs and say hello.
Right.
But like, we just had about a month ago, Jamie Foxx came in, and I didn't know he was coming in, so. He just happened to come in on a referral from a friend, and I get the text. I'm like, hey, like Jamie Foxx is here. So I come running upstairs and I give him this tour, and I have to say, like, I was blown away by how nice of a guy he is. I was blown away by his talent, and to sit down, like we're gonna get him on the cast. We're gonna get him. I have to get him because not only is he a foodie and like obviously we have this amazing beautiful upright piano that you can't see, that's not on camera, but it's in tune, and he played it for us. But what's interesting is as he tells the story, he's actually impersonating every person within that story. And you talk about someone like he just commands attention. And to hear him and to actually hear what he's done for so many artists that before they were even famous, or maybe they were famous going through something, like the guy is just, like when he does something, like you do it, he's doing things for people without any kind of expectation of payment back or any of that. And I think like, the guy's got a great heart, and I didn't know that side of him. And when he said that, I was blown away. And I was like talking to him, I was like so nervous the whole time, but the guy is unreal, man. Like, and like Jamie Foxx, that's a big deal. And he came into the cheese store in Beverly Hills, so it's pretty special.
Well, I mean, what's cool about LA, as you know, is that like the thing that maybe the one thing that celebrities have most in common with like a lot of the people that come to the cheese store and interact with is that like, food's a big part of a lot of people's lives, right? They want nice ingredients. They want luxury ingredients. They want things they've never tried before, and then they want to go to like hot restaurants and ball out. And that's sort of like, in a way, even like these quote unquote elite restaurants, they're kind of like equalizing in terms of the fact that like, you can go do this, save your money for your big night out, go to Stella or whatever. And there's literally 3 people in there, like with vintage handbags that are worth more than your entire net worth, right? And there's somebody, pretty significantly famous there too. And you're just like, but they're all eating the same. And this is what's so cool about it. They're all eating the same, obscure, esoteric, or highly specific pasta that like Rob decided to make, right? Because you go there and you order this thing and like it looks like spaghetti pomodoro. Oh no. And I'm like, I'm not going to give away too much about it because I'm going to be writing about it. It's not spaghetti pomodoro. It's this highly regional noodle. And they tried machine cutting it, but like, no, let's make it harder because knife cutting it is better, right? And this other sauce, it kind of looks like a bolognese, but oh no, the meats are different and there's no wine. And that's just really, really cool. And then you're also selling to a place, like whatever. Oh, and by the way, the reason that I bring this,
you need to tell everybody who's Rob. Like,
right. Well, so Rob Gentili is the chef at Stella West Hollywood, which is the old Medeo space. It's a hot new Italian restaurant. But I'm only mentioning this in the context that when you go in there, there's literally like girl dinner cheese board, right? Cheese charcuterie board, and I think it literally just says like Dominique's Picks or something, right? You're the celebrity in that situation. And the woman with, and this is me blowing smoke, but the one with the vintage handbag, vintage Chanel handbags are English. Like, who the fuck is Dominic? How do I get my name on this menu? You know?
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's really cool, man. It's above and beyond.
And
Rob's
Stella's
such
a beautiful restaurant.
Beautiful restaurant. Rob is a super talented chef, and so it's like chefs like that, right? Like, they keep you on your toes. That like they literally they push the boundaries to what you think of an ingredient and how to use it. And stuff
I was
like that.
at
It's pretty special.
Another one of your clients. Like, I was at Providence yesterday. I was kind enough. Somebody was kind enough to invite me to this Relais and Chateau dinner. You were not invited. I know. I didn't
even know they were having it.
Right. And
Michael won't return any of my calls.
And the thing with Michael is that, like, here's a scallop dish, but guess what? This foam is scallop, right? This other thing is also made with scallop. We took, he takes every part of it. Like, he has a mussel dish. They're using every part of the mussel. They're like cooking things, in seawater that they're getting from Stephanie Mutz. So the level of it, it's like there's 6 different preparations of the same ingredient plus seawater on this plate, right? And here it is, and it looks like this dainty little thing, and and again, this is one of those things where, like, look, I'm spoiled, right? I mean, I was talking to a chef friend about this. This is a hard confession for me to make. It's like, at this point in my life, like, those 3-hour dinners, man, they're hard. No matter who it is, halfway through, you're just like, man, this is still going. But then you walk out to the dining room and you see everybody else and how rapturous they are, and you realize, like, this to them, like, right? This is like that time they got tickets to Hamilton, right? Or they got front row seats to Drake or something. Or it's the thing that, like, we just spent all this money, but it's actually worth it, right? Like, I was at Vespertine recently at a preview. They've sold out their first month, and they sold out their first month with people not really knowing what this version 2.0 is going to be, but it's just of the belief that they've gone before and Jordan gave them something that was otherworldly, or at least, like, worth the money, or the fact that they've never been before, but they've heard enough about it, right? And that's kind of the exciting thing where, for a while, pandemic, et cetera, a lot of this fine dining stuff wasn't happening, but Providence renovated. I think they're really going for it. They already have 2 Michelin stars. I think they're going even harder. I mean, Jordan's obviously, like, aiming really hard. And then there's other people that we know that maybe you want to get into because you have all this intel, but, Marcus Dermark's going to open a restaurant.
That's crazy.
Aitor Zabala's going to open a restaurant. The team from Jaunt's going to open at the SLS. And again, this maybe isn't the way that I want to eat all the time, but the fact is like, I mean, I think Marcus's is going to be a little more casual than the 3 Michelin star stuff he's done before, but you have these serious chefs that are doing fine dining, or that are doing something where they're using their fine dining skills to cook more everyday food, which is, not that unlike from like what Rob is doing at Stella. Josh Skeens had 3 Michelin stars at Cezanne. Now he's going to open a place where it's just like, wood-fired meat and fish, perhaps, and vegetables and pizza. But if that guy does it, I mean, how long is he going to think about that pizza, right?
So it's all right. So actually, that's actually interesting. So what do you think about, like, in terms of fine dining? Do you think fine dining is going away? Do you think that fine dining is making a return? Like, what is that?
I mean, in LA, it's making a return because it's like Michael's obviously going for it harder than he's ever gone, right? Michael at Providence. Aitor's going to be Aitor, right?
Which, I mean,
Somni
these
probably...
are like next level. Like, you talk about chefs like that. Like, that's like a next level. Like, I can't even relate to what those guys are thinking.
Yeah.
And like, but
what, you don't have 3D printers here for your sandwich?
Full transparency. I've never eaten at a 3 Michelin star restaurant in my life.
Well, LA hasn't had one though, so that's not
right.
your
No,
fault.
but anywhere in the world, like being from New York, like, I've never gone to a 3 Michelin star restaurant, so I can't really speak to the the experience. But I mean, I've worked with 3 Michelin star chefs, and I have to say, like, do you feel that in LA? Like, do you think 3 Michelin star, or should I just say fine dining in general? What is the deal with Michelin, and what we have so much here in LA to offer? Why do we get snubbed? I mean, I think that's like
we get snubbed by everybody. Like, I was at
But why is that? We have the best produce. We have amazing. I mean, put the celebrity aside. We have incredible chefs coming here. We have Danielle Ballou coming here. We have so many amazing chefs coming. Why does Michelin overlook probably one of the most creative, inventive? And I still think LA's up and coming.
We've talked about this before. The James Beard Foundation has, for the most part, like, done the same thing. There's lots of other prestigious awards, that over the years have not come to LA, or they've largely ignored LA. But on a way, I think that's fine. In a way, I think that's fine. Like, I wrote this thing for Food and Wine years ago, like when Michelin came back, right? Just about how they're not paying attention to the San Gabriel Valley. They're not properly paying attention to Mexican food, to Korean food, and they're sure as hell not even paying attention to all the high-profile chefs that are coming here and doing interesting things, right? But the thing that I realized in writing that piece, and I might have written it more elegantly than I'm going to say it, it's like LA, for the most part, doesn't care. LA does not exist to be judged on anyone else's terms. LA is its own thing, right? And so you have this moment where you look at a list like the LA Times and you realize that, like, you know, somebody like Michael C. Marusti, somebody like Nancy Silverton, right? Their restaurants can get bookended by whatever, Moo's Craft Barbecue, Burritos La Palma, Sonora Town, Soban, whatever. And it just shows you that, like, we're lucky. We get to eat in a better way. And the people in the city who really care about food, they're super intrepid, right? Like, I lived in New York for a long time, and like Pete Wells would write something about some Sri Lankan place in Staten Island. And Sri Lankan people you knew would be like, yo, I'm really proud, but I live in Manhattan. I'm not going to Staten Island to eat Sri Lankan food.
Who doesn't want to go to Staten Island? That's where I'm from, Andy.
Yeah, and here's the... All right, you and some rappers are from Staten Island. Who else?
The Impractical Jokers. Come on.
All right. But in LA, right, and this is more true like of the Jonathan Gold era, but it's still true now, right? People in LA will wake up on a Saturday, be like, wait, I read about something, I heard about something, in this stage I saw it on TikTok, I'm going to look at it on a map. Oh, man, that's 38 miles away from where I am right now. Oh, whatever, traffic's not that bad, hour 5, I'm just going to go, right? That's what people in LA do, right?
Yeah.
Most of these people that are like Instagramming, I mean, not most of these people, but a lot of people that are Instagramming from whatever, you know, like South Bay, deep in the San Gabriel Valley, right? Going to the San Fernando Valley, you know, to eat whatever, specific Japanese food or specific Armenian food. They don't live anywhere close to it. They just decided that, like, well, whatever, Mid-City to Pasadena is also stupid.
So traffic determined their desire to go and see this restaurant, basically.
Well, no, but what
you can't go 38 miles in LA on a weekday. You have to like plan this visit and kind of
right. But what I'm saying is people will just wake up and do that. And there's certainly people I know, right, who like on a weeknight have gone from Venice to like Studio City or Pasadena to eat something, and I'm like, that's nuts. But like this city just goes for it, right? And I think that like something like Michelin, too, something that is geographically challenging as LA must be hard for them to figure out, right? Same thing as like the James Beard Awards, right? It's the reason why that like there are certain things in far-flung neighborhoods that I think are great. And they've asked me, how do I get on James Beard's radar? And I'm like, I don't know. Move to the west side or mid-city. I hate to tell you, but that's kind of what it is sometimes.
So, yeah, do you think the fact that LA is so broad and so big can probably be 2 to 3 different cities, right? Like, do you think
it's more like London. It's a bunch of villages strung together, right?
Right. But the other thing, too, when you think about Los Angeles and California in general, like with probably the produce capital of America, like all the fresh fruits and vegetables, like, and you hear all these chefs coming to Los Angeles, opening restaurants, and they're just like blown away.
They're
by
having
the
freakouts,
bounty.
and I don't want to make fun of Robert Stella, but I think he literally just posted something like, here's some fruit from the farmer's market. Look how beautiful it is. It takes many chefs multiple years. I remember like Daniel Hum was doing this, Dave Chang was doing this. They would literally come to LA and they would just post a picture of tomatoes because like, oh my God, I've never experienced anything like this. And it's such a cliche because we're so spoiled. Yeah. And every Wednesday, right, you can just go to Santa Monica, right?
No, not just Wednesday. I know everyone like goes, over their skis on not over their skis, but like everyone goes nuts over the Wednesday farmers market.
Right, but you can go on the weekend. You can go to the Hollywood farmers market
weekly.
You can go to the Torrance farmers market,
exactly
right? You can go to the Studio City one.
Right.
No, 100%. The Santa Monica one is the famous one because it has the highest volume. It's like the best day that intersects. But it always amuses me, and this is what's going to happen to a lot of the other people coming into town, right? Like Daniel Boulud is like, I'm so excited about like cooking seasonally all these ingredients, and he's going to go, and it's going to be some weird month, and he's like, how's there another strawberry season? And he's going to freak out. Like, I predict this right now, right?
But no, well, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's funny, but like, I guess like part of me, the more I see how these awards and all this other stuff, like, and first of all, what I love is that chefs are willing to come out to Los Angeles. They're willing to open because they know it's a profitable area. They know that it's also a place where they can literally. I guess like show off their culinary skills because of everything that's available, because of the produce, because of all these unique, year-round availability of different fruits and vegetables and stuff.
I would argue that, like, you use the word profitable. I mean, let's be real. LA is a very, very hard city compared to other cities, but I think what it is like it's still a major American city that's tied to creativity, that's tied to a level of coolness and culture that people want to be part of. And you don't feel that type of energy, right? Like, I remember, like, there's been chefs from Brazil who've told me, like, I've opened in LA because it's the thing that reminds me of, where I'm from, right? Like, that level of energy.
LA is a very much European city, and it feels very European, and it actually really looks very European. But I will say, like, when my grandfather came here a long time ago,
Brazil's not in Europe, by the way, but no,
I'm just saying, but just in, never mind. No, when my grandfather came to, like, when I was in college here and stuff, like, he said this is one of the few places that actually reminded him of Italy or like somewhere internationally, because LA just has a landscape. It's so beautiful. But just getting back to the whole like beard and Michelin, like, do you think LA will ever gain the recognition, at least talk from my perspective, that it deserves in the culinary world?
I'm going to say probably not, and I'm going to say that I personally don't care. And look, I get it, right? These awards, especially Michelin, like, these are good for getting butts in seats. They matter a lot to restaurants. They help chefs end up getting all the things that actually make them money and give them success and perhaps a shot at generational wealth, meaning product deals, TV deals, right? Endorsement deals, invites to things like World's 50 Best. Potentially, you become a chef like this and you get the Michelin attention. You get invited to go cook at Art Basel or to pop up at the Super Bowl, or you get to go to Cannes. Like, that's all part of the dream. But I just think that, like, LA is LA. These things are these things. They're not completely compatible. And I think that's fine. There's all these other good, compelling reasons to live in Los Angeles. And we should just be happy that those are here, right? Because you're talking about the produce, you're talking about the weather, you're talking about the creative spirit. You're talking about, like, Moby wrote about this years ago, right? Where LA is this town where you can also take the time to be creative. You don't have to feel like a failure if you're at the nail salon at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right? Or you're getting your car washed at 2, because you know what? This is a city built around Hollywood, also now built increasingly around the tech sector, where you can literally shoot a huge project, right? Be up for some Academy Award, right? In the middle of blowing up. And you have 2 months in between things, right? You can have some successful startup, raise a round, right? Exit. And then suddenly you have this in-between thing. So the thing that I always noticed about LA, right? Like, when I first moved here 10 years ago, I really thought, oh, these people are lazy. Why the fuck are there, like, all these people, like, in the coffee shop at, like, 2 o'clock in the afternoon? But then when I moved to Studio City, I started, like, sitting in that coffee shop, was basically Jones on 3rd, and you started half eavesdropping on what people were talking about. It's like, no, these people are in between things, and that guy made something really important. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there are certainly people in there who haven't figured it out and are still struggling on that. But LA sort of, like, gives you a place where you're not shamed, right? That you're not hustling, 18, 20 hours a day. Like, there's so many people I know, and by so many, I mean more than 10, who, like, moved to LA from New York before I did, right? And within 2 or 3 years, they become better versions of themselves just because they had all this extra time, right? Because you don't think about the difference between, like, going home at 9 or 10 every night versus going home at 1 or 2 until you've done this, like, many days in a row. And you're just like, I have so much of my life back, right? Mm-hmm. And then when you have that much time back, yeah, you can go walk your dog in the middle of the afternoon. Like, famously, like, I remember, I mean, not famously to me and my friends, I remember, like, one friend who came from New York, like a huge real estate broker guy. He invested in a lot of prominent New York restaurants, too. Came here. In New York, he was all so high-strung. He had, like, 3 phones. You couldn't ever reach him. He'd play in a poker game with you. He'd still, like, leave 2 phones on. You'd make plans with him. He'd cancel on you 5 times and be like, you know what, bro? It's just going to be easier if you meet me in Miami during social season. And it didn't sound obnoxious. He was just being real, right? I called him one day in LA, like after he'd moved in. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he starts telling me, hey, Andy, what do you watch on Netflix? I'm like, what the hell do you mean, what do you watch on? I was like, what do you watch on Netflix? There's all this stuff on Netflix. I'm like, wait, you're asking me for recommendations? He's like, yeah, I've never watched Netflix before. There's all this stuff. What should I watch? And then I'm like, wait, my man, where are you right now? He goes, oh, I'm in my house. I'm getting set up, and the owner left his TV here, and he left his Netflix here, and now I can watch Netflix. I've never done it. I want to watch Netflix. So I have this moment where I'm thinking, okay, this guy's like sold real estate, like billions of dollars, right? You know, I'm like, wait, you're in the house. The owner left you his TV and left you Netflix. Have you closed on this house? Is it actually your house? It's like, no. It's like, you know, we're still in the middle of the escrow process. But he said, no big deal. I trust you. You can just come stay here. And look, I know that story is not indicative of what everything in LA is like, especially now, like with crime and different things, people aren't as trusting. But that was like 10, 12 years ago, and it was such a thing where I'm like, this city is in a different universe than New York, right? In New York, like, if you're a pregnant woman, right, getting off the subway, and you go to the fish market, the cheese store, whatever you want, there's literally not one single person that's going to like help you, like try to like take the bags home. And I know this from experience. Like, this is something that a woman told me. And then she came to LA and was not pregnant at the time, grabbed a little 6-pack of water, was walking up to the checkout at CVS, and 2 people tried to bring her a cart. She's like, no, I don't need a cart. And then her friend finally said to her, no, just use the cart so they'll stop looking at you and stop trying to help you, because their natural instinct is that's what they do, right?
Right.
So I think that a lot of these chefs also come here and they're like, you know, there's some things that are harder, but in a way this is a more welcoming community, and I can be allowed to chill out in a different way and figure out, like, you know, all right, am I really going to hand cut this pasta versus machine cutting it? But at least I have the time to think about it, right?
Sure. We're also going down this sort of really fun adventure with food, in the sense of, I notice, you know, there's a lot of things being done simply, but just executed at a really high level. Like, we went through the smash burgers. Ellie's going through this whole bagel, bagel thing. I'm like, so like for me, I think that's really fun, because you have this opportunity to take something, and like I said before, like the simpler the dish, like the harder it is to execute. And I think focusing on things like the way we focus on sandwiches and salads, or focusing on bagels or pizza, like, I think that's one of, like...
Yeah, the dish isn't finished. It's like David Kinch famously said this fine night. The dish is finished when you realize there's nothing you can take away. Because a lot of people think add, right? And that's the whole simplicity. And I mean, honestly, like, going back to what we're talking about, there's nothing simpler than like cheese boards and snack boards. You really got to lean into this. We have a whole new revenue stream. I mean, I think we should end the podcast, because you and Hillary and Ben and everybody else, like, you're going to have to go make some girl dinner platters.
I'm going to retire now. Thank you.
All right, cool.
Well, hey, before we get out of here, do you guys want to do an audience question talking about simple dinners, simple meals?
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, so Amy wrote in, and this it ties in really well, but she wrote in and said that she just learned that Americans eat enough grilled cheese every year to fill up 900 Olympic-sized swimming pools. And she says, I want to know, you know, for both of you guys, do you like grilled cheeses? Do you eat grilled cheeses? And, like, what would you do, like, if you had to make a grilled cheese at the cheese store? Like, how are you elevating that? What's your
thoughts? We're gonna have 2 completely different answers, because I like Eric Greenspan's New School American cheese.
Who doesn't? We all love it.
And full disclosure, like, he's cooked at a lot of the industry only parties that I do and all that. But it's just like for a simple grilled cheese. But he like did one with brisket recently. But I honestly think
that was at your last event. I had it.
Yeah, but I honestly think that, like,
that was great.
A grilled cheese with bacon and tomato is just the perfect sandwich. And that's one that I can make myself without thinking. Like, you know, but if I had, you know, like if I had good Texas barbecue or some other kind of braised meat, I would put it on there too. There's a short rib grilled cheese, right? Like Jones on 3rd that kind of got
Delicious.
famous years ago.
Love Joan.
But it's like, but which would you use, Vonderdonk? Would you do that melt?
Actually, it would be amazing to use Vonderdonk. So when I think of grilled cheese, yes, of course, we think of the American cheese. We think of, you know, little what is it? A little mayo on the outside of the bread before you put it with butter on the pan. I mean, by the way, and I love a traditional grilled cheese. I think it's great. But like, if I was gonna do a grilled cheese, I do enjoy. There's a couple different things that I really sort of enjoy. So used to do these little grilled cheese sandwiches. They had the truffle, but they use fresh truffle, which is why I really enjoyed it. But I will say that for a grilled cheese of something that I would like, I absolutely love a very traditional fondue. So the Gruyere, Emmentaler, and Appenzeller. I personally, for me, would make like some type of a rendition of a grilled cheese that actually tasted like fondue because I love the kirsch. I love that winey flavor. That's just sort of my style. But then, what's beautiful about it is like we used to sell, we still do actually, a cheese called Cotswold, which is the double Gloucester, like a cheddar with chive. That not only made amazing grilled cheese, but, being in LA, it makes an amazing quesadilla too. Right. So I like to play around with things other than just a traditional, but I will say if you're going to make a grilled cheese, we are not paid to do this by Eric Greenspan, but I do enjoy his new school American cheese.
And you
it
just
melts amazing.
Yeah, multiple pieces.
And it's delicious.
Yeah,
and
2
the
to
salt
4
content's
pieces,
great.
maybe.
It's insane. There's a shameless plug for Eric.
Yeah, well, no, but it's not even like about shameless plugs. It's just about the fact that like all this stuff intersects, right? You saw all this fancy cheese. Eric makes a better American cheese. Of course, you're going to like that. Because one of the things that I never told you is that at the original cheese store...
You're keeping things from me?
At the original cheese store, this is before I knew you. I mean, Norbert probably knows. You have no idea how tight Norbert and I and all the shit we've talked about you over the years. No, at the original cheese store, I think the first time that I went in there is because I happened across... No, not even a recipe. It's just that Daniel Holzman at the meatball shop used to make bacon cheeseburger meatballs. And they were delicious. So good.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know if I saw a recipe or somebody suggested it or whatever, but I'm like, you know what I'm going to do because I am this type of bougie idiot? I'm going to go to the cheese store at Beverly Hills and buy like $40 worth of Cabot cloth-bound cheddar, right? We're going to, and you know what? To this day...
$40. Did it fit on a piece of a cracker? Like, you probably didn't get that much.
All right, $400.
I'm just kidding.
Fine. Yeah, I mean, it's... Right? And I had made it in Brooklyn, like, with the fancy Fleischer's bacon. And I think, like... here at the very least, like, we were using Nyman Ranch or something. Yeah. But the point is, it's like, that's still a bacon cheeseburger meatball, but you could make a version of that like, you could give to somebody like you, and you'd be somebody discerning like you, and be like, damn, that's good.
Simple comfort food. I love it.
Well, there's one more element of this. Like the most important part of this question is, how do you cut your sandwich or your grilled cheese sandwich? Diagonal, in half straight, or do you not cut it at all?
So, I cut it in half straight.
Diagonal is the correct answer, I think.
Yeah. See?
52% of Americans agree with Andy here.
You want a rectangle versus... All right, whatever.
I just always, like, if you're going to sit downstairs in this room, I'll cut it on diagonal. For myself, I cut it straight. I don't know. I guess, you know why I do it? Because that's how my mother and father did it when I was a kid.
All right, well, we're adding the Curb Your Enthusiasm grilled cheese, or the...
the Vonderdonk grilled cheese.
Right.
But I want to do that when we do the patio so you can have it here. You can't take a grilled cheese away.
What's so great about this is Dom is like, I don't want to talk about what's next. I don't want to talk about the fact I'm opening a wine bar. It's like he keeps saying, we're going to open a patio.
I just spilled all the beans.
Guess what? Everybody's going to open a patio. Eat or go with it tomorrow.
It's the big noise talking.
Yeah. Well, we're going to do it with big noise, and we got to figure out like some spicy pimento cheese or something.
Do something fun. Yeah, I want to do something really fun.
Yeah, because that's what, like, if you do something that's, I don't know how you do it, but like a Thai grilled cheese or something, it's like, there's some things that we can do.
I would love that.
I mean, the guys at Big Noise are friendly, with the team at Jitlada. They also come to all our parties. I'm sure they'd be down for, like, letting us test some of their sausage or something else, right?
I would love it. I think that'd be great.
All right, Jazz Sugar, it's like, we'll give you some Big Noise. Like, I need to give them Big Noise. Got to figure out something else they want.
I know. Amy, thank you so much for sending in your question. If you guys want to hear from us,
you can go look at the show notes, and you can see all of our contact info on social and via email. And we really, really would love to hear from you. You can ask Dom any questions you want about his growing TikTok influence at the cheese store of Beverly Hills.
And was it Galboards? Girl boards?
Yeah, girl dinner.
Girl dinner.
I like Galboards.
Galboards. That's what we're going to do here.
Right. You can ask me any questions about how to properly melt cheese. That's on Curb Your Enthusiasm, because I don't have to wait for some quasi-legal patio to open. I'm just going to go do this.
Allegedly.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck with that opening. You got a lot to do, Dom.
Thank you, guys.